Patrick Mahomes is a guy that you just talked about, somebody maybe a quarterback slipping to 10 or something like that, just like Pat. If you look at the top of this draft class, Joe Burrow, people now are talking about the number 2 pick with the Washington Redskins. They should think about taking Tua, even though they drafted Dwayne Haskins last year, and they got Chase Young sitting there, a potential generational talent.
Right.
There feels like there's a lot of potential moves in his top 5 to happen. I mean, Joe Burrow had to answer questions on whether or not he would play in Cincinnati.
Well, he brought that on himself.
Okay.
I mean,
he talked about the leverage part of it.
And Jordan Palmer, Carson Palmer's brother's training him. I mean,
let's take this one by one here. The leverage part of it. You're slotted. You know how much money you're going to make. You know how long the contract's going to be. The only word leverage comes into play is if you exact it to try and not go there.
Oh, yeah.
So if you drop leverage, we all get it. We all understand what you're saying. The other thing, too, is that when asked about it, he goes, if they take me, they take me. Now, Pat. You just got engaged, correct? Okay.
Hey, good for me, by the way.
Congratulations, by the way.
Hey.
Right?
Hey.
Right?
Hey.
You just got engaged.
Hey, hold on. Ty just got engaged.
Hey. There's love all around in this room, man.
Diggs just got engaged.
Hey. What about you slackers in the back?
They're married to the game.
Get a date.
They're married to the game.
Okay, they're married to each other.
The reason why I bring all this up, and everybody out there in the Pat McAfee Show listening and viewing audience, you all are getting engaged, right? Or you just got engaged. What if you heard secondhand through a friend of your fiance,
Sam,
your fiance's, okay? You found out through a friend that when it was apparent you were about to engage, to be married to this woman, her response to her friend was, if he proposes, he proposes.
Not ideal.
Not very pumped.
Right?
Well, I think
that's not what you want to hear.
But what he said this week, now he had to answer a lot of these questions.
Yes.
What he said this week was, I don't want to presume that I'm the number 1 pick. They have their process.
Nailed it.
Yeah, he did very well in his answer. By the way, great haircut, too. The mic stand that you guys gave him was right in the middle of his eyeballs, which was kind of tough to watch, but he did.
I'm not in charge of the audiovisual. Not in charge of the audiovisual.
I think he handled that very, very well. A lot of questions.
I agree. He said the right things until you parse it all down of saying, okay, I just didn't assume I was going to be number 1 overall. I'm just a humble man. I'm a humble man, but then you parse it all down. I'm like, so then when you said leverage, what are you talking about? Like, it doesn't square.
For those of us that don't
remember. Of course it doesn't.
Hold on, Ryan. For those of us that don't remember.
Yes.
The Eli Phillip Rivers situation is the most recent one. John Elway did it, I guess, with the Colts, the Broncos. Correct. But Eli and Phillip Rivers, was that something that was expected going in, or did it come out of nowhere? Because I do not recall if
out of nowhere.
So that was not something that was even thought about before.
It was planned.
It was planned, but we didn't know it
because Archie and his family had called my father and wanted to know how they treated his son.
Really?
And that was a huge part of it because even as poorly as I behaved, like there was no support, and for the longest time I held a resentment around that, but it was, what was my part? I had to finally take a stock in that, but he did his due diligence. He called and, what happened when things went bad? What did they do to help support your son, John? And I've known the Manning family for
you're a massive part of the Manning family history.
Man, I've never heard that before, and now I understand why Eli Manning became a New York Giant.
Yeah, that really is potentially the reason that Archie was like, well I'm not sending my boy over there.
It wasn't the only reason, of course. He did, they were not known for winning. They'd been to 1 Super Bowl in a year that the head coach was then, ushered out for Kevin Gilbride in year 2. What's ironic about the whole deal is Gilbride gets fired my rookie year. He ends up in New York and wins 2 Super Bowls with Eli Manning as the offensive coordinator.
So that's an incredible. Thank you for that, by the way. That's an incredible story that I'd never heard before.
That's being gripped and ripped and tweeted out on @Pat McAfee Show right now.
Oh yeah, right now. That's what.
I saw the operation back there. This is a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, we got to do it, man. We had to build the show. Nobody knew we existed, so we had to. But the that conversation, you knew about it. Your dad potentially knew about it. But as the media, nobody was really talking about this, right?
And we were talking about it on my show the other day. That imagine imagine what would happen in this day and age with Twitter, with social media, with somebody who's gripping and ripping video and tweeting it out on your platforms right now. And I use the plural platforms.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
That if the Bengals choose Burrow and then 40 minutes later the Dolphins choose whoever the Bengals wanted and they flip it. Like, could you imagine if that happened right now?
It would be wild. By the way, good for the draft, good for NFL Network.
Vegas would actually have never seen something for the first time.
It would be
in
an
Vegas.
NBA draft style, right?
Yeah,
Exactly,
yeah,
where
very
they
much so.
where they you get drafted
Yeah.
and the hat that they wear they have no intention of wearing and fans are totally confused. But it's never happened since then, and it's a risky play. Like, what if the Giants
Joe Burrow,
didn't get
Ohio kid, turning heel on the stage, not putting the hat on, refusing to put that. This is all just like if we're to draw this up as a movie,
Right.
him walking on the stage, throwing the hat on the floor.
and storming off to spearmint Rhino on the spot?
You see the picture.
Roger
of,
Goodell comes for the dap.
That's
he
it.
does like a swim move on him.
you see the picture of Eli holding up that Chargers jersey. Have you seen it and the look on his face?
Oh, he knows.
Yeah, I know.
knows.
So I don't think he even knew
What was about to happen?
Well, he might have known what they were going to attempt to do, but it's a risky play. What if
It's
the
a
Giants
really
had not
risky-
gotten Phillip Rivers? What if somebody had traded before the Giants to get
I mean,
Phillip?
you put yourself in a situation. There's nothing you can do about it, right? You're at the mercy of whoever's going to draft in that spot, and you have to. You talked about leverage. The only leverage that a rookie quarterback has this day and age is to simply say, "I'm not going to play." But the reason you went pro is to play football.
Yeah.
And if you
I
don't
know.
do it, what's the issue?